I've never betrayed anyone in my entire life.
Welcome to this bonus mini-sode of On the Shoulders of Giants, where we will be looking back at Mobile Suit Gundam Gquuuuuux and revisiting our thoughts and our friends' thoughts. I'm Alice, and I'm joined by...
I'm Brian. I'm the other guy that was here for most of those.
Brian and myself have corrected the OSG timeline and have settled down on this warm and sunny beach, talking about what happened with those Zagnovas. And it looks like Haru has some transmissions from our friends to listen to as well. So grab your Mav and let's launch into it. I'm glad that the timeline is fixed finally.
Me too.
That was weird.
That was really weird. I felt like a full character for like a little while, and then I was like completely shunted off the main plot line for some reason.
But which character could you be talking about? Because that's like 5 of them. So, now that Gquuuuuux has come out, it's been about 4 months since that happened to all of us, that collective psychosis.
Is that fucking... That's true. That is nuts to be...
Yeah. So we thought, now that the show has come out and we've all had time to kind of sit on it, I wanted to get both Brian and myself together to talk about this because I really want Brian's thoughts now that we've simmered on this and on this entire experience. But we also reached out to everybody who'd been on. So Tricky, Thaliarchus, Steven, and probably somebody else. And I'm trying to...
PMC.
Yeah, PMC, that's it. And we got them to kind of record some answers for us. But before we get into all of the actual discussion, I've got the numbers. I've got the stats. Now that this has come out, we can talk about this in a retrospective sort of way. So, Mobile Suit Gundam Gquuuuuux was produced in 2025 by Sunrise. The length of this media is 12 episodes long. Is this part of a franchise? Yes, this is part of the Gundam franchise. However, it's a standalone. There is nothing else that it ties to. It's kind of akin to, well, some weird spin-offs. It's its own timeline. It's legitimately not even in the UC. It's its own thing. I want to talk about the numbers because when people talk about Gquuuuuux, they have this kind of thought that it was this small indie spin-off project for Gundam. So let's talk about it. So we don't have direct numbers. Unfortunately, anime is not like American movies where you can find all of these stats. These companies keep these books tight, so we have to go with things that we know that are publicly available. So let's start with Gquuuuuux, the beginning. The movie that, Brian, you watched in theater, right?
I did.
I watched in theater. I'm pretty sure Steven and PMC did. Probably Thaliarchus, if it even got over there. So it made, in the States, $1.2 million. It was a weekend screening event. It was only in for like 3 days at select theaters. $1.2 million, that's nothing for a movie in America. But overseas, that is in Japan specifically, it made $3.2 million converted from yen. So around 4.4 million overall. I want to give you the context to that, which is we're going to put this up against something that's similar. So another anime movie. So Jujutsu Kaisen, Hidden Inventory, Premature Death. I chose this one instead of the most recent one so that we could kind of have like same era. And also the most recent anime movie to come out was the, God, what is it?
Demon Slayer,
which is like insane
It's
numbers.
A phenomenon. Yeah.
What the hell? So Jujutsu Kaisen, That movie made $3.3 million total. So Gquuuuuux the Beginning was one of the highest grossing ones of these, is the best way to say. So anime series that got part of it cut out and put into theaters. Suzume, which I kind of want to point to as Makoto Shinkai's last big film in 2022, made $10 million in the States. So about a tenth of what that movie
Jesus
did
Lord,
stateside.
that's crazy. I mean, those are a little bit more. Those are like the mainstreamest that anime gets. I feel like, you know,
especially over
I feel
here.
like Shinkai is almost on the level of Ghibli in terms of like anime that everybody watches. You know,
He's one of the two. He's definitely made his place in that like oeuvre.
Listen to our what was that thing he did that we covered? Did we do some? Didn't he do the Nokia?
Oh my
Wasn't that
god!
him?
Yes. Oh shit!
Makoto Shinkai mech movie? Is it a movie?
It's a movie.
Voices of a Distant Star.
That's it.
Holy moly!
Oof.
We are so good at our. We got. Look at them. They got 60 episodes. They're like, oh, I can't see that far into the past.
And the worst part is like, I love that movie. I talked about how much I cared about that movie, and I just blanked entirely. I was like, 5 centimeters per second? Yeah, the cell phone one, right? East of Eden?
East of Eden.
That movie did make $300 million overseas, so get it fucking together, America. I guess there was a pandemic in 2022, and theaters were dead, and then Nicole Kidman came out and said, theaters are back. I don't know, AMC ads. Okay.
We need this, all of us.
All of us.
To
Also worth
fear,
noting,
to laugh.
also worth noting is that the pre-release movie is the second highest grossing Gundam film. Second only to Mobile Suit Gundam Seed Freedom, which hit $35 million total.
Oh, that's
the
so
highest
funny.
grossest Gundam movie of all time. Narrative technically grossed higher at 5.8 million, but it didn't get an international release. So I'm not considering it for this. We don't have American numbers at play here. So we know these numbers. That's the numbers we know. That doesn't really tell us much, right? So I did more digging. This show was a success for Bandai, which is the most important part about all of this. Bandai often is critical of their own IP if it doesn't perform
Most important thing to
absurdly
Bandai.
well. Yeah.
We should say.
Correct. If they're happy with the numbers, that's pretty much it. They don't care about content.
Yeah.
Naihiro Ogata, the executive officer, IP Production Division, aka the God of Gundam, was quoted in an article saying, "We got an overwhelming amount of positive feedback. Through working on this project with Studio Kara, we were able to reach a new audience that had never been introduced to Gundam. And we were also able to bring back out our main target audience, dormant Gundam fans in their 50s and over."
Dormant Gundam fans. By the way, this dude looks like I could see this guy going white and shaving the top of his head and being a perfect Aramaki.
Right? Oh, when I saw this photo, first off, I loved it. His pose in this and his expression.
It's so funny.
Gold. And to quote an English language article, according to Ogata, the new entry achieved all of the company's quantitative goals to the maximum degree, with exceptionally high TV and streaming platform viewership and strong merchandise revenue. Kids make money. People bought the kits.
Imagine if Amazon had advertised Gquuuuuux like literally fucking it all.
They buy exclusive rights to anime. They don't even have a dedicated anime section on their platform. Like,
it's like beyond pathetic.
If I
over
did
there.
not look up Gquuuuuux, it would have never been on my home feed on Prime ever. People
Nope.
I know who watch anime didn't know that this was a Prime exclusive. They were like, "Oh, it's on Prime? That's weird." Yeah, I didn't.
It
know
is
either.
weird. We all agreed. Everyone agrees that it's weird.
Both of those quotes are from Automation Media writer Dorde P. Shout out. The photo.
I thought their name was Dorde P. Shout out.
Dorde P. Shout out.
It's my favorite Gundam character.
In August 2025, Bandai announced in its quarter 3 earnings call that it had its best earnings ever, with Gundam alone making an 81% year-over-year revenue increase.
Suramaki, was it? I think it was Suramaki that said in the interview that he's like, "Oh, I don't know if mech is a thing anymore."
Really? Yeah, he really said that. I don't know. I don't know if it's pulling the numbers, guys. It is. Hey, little update, it is. As an anecdote, my local Gunpla store, which I love deeply and forever, so they get like a bunch of kits kind of based on projections of what is going to sell. Pretty much all of their Gquuuuuux, like when they got the Amada figurized standard, I had to get a hold on one because like he got the max he could get and they sold out. Like these kits, a weird way, even though like the show was still coming out when some of them came out, some of them came out post show. They still did gangbusters at my local store. Like, people were thirsty for new kits that were different.
My anecdote is definitely not as strong, but I and it's more of a theory than an anecdote. But like in May, April, like around the time I bought my Zagok kit, like in May, April of this year, I bought the Zagok because it was like the only thing they had that looked interesting to me. Like my local hobby town, shout outs, the Aurora hobby town. Shout out. Worst parking lot I've ever seen. Anyway, not like, it wasn't that it was like barren, but there was not a lot of variety. They would have like 40 Schwarzettes or something and nothing else. And then after Gquuuuuux finished airing, I recently went and I actually picked up like two things. I picked up the Ball twin set.
Hell yeah. Ball. RGM Ball. Greatest
something
thing
else.
ever.
And they are fucking flush. They had a table at the front. Now, this is a space, if you're a Hobbytown person, Warhammer dominates a Hobbytown space usually. Like the Gunpla's in the back behind all the Warhammer stuff.
And RC cars. They don't have maybe like a puzzle section. They shoved Gunpla in the corner in the back.
Had like a tablecloth table, stand-up banner that said like Gunpla on it, and just like a big Walmart display of actually the unit, the Ava Unit 2 MG that I have. Like 25 of those in a big pyramid.
Holy
and I was
shit.
just like, okay, so I mean maybe it wasn't a very good show, but it saved Gunpla at least.
it saved Gunpla, everyone. Also the figured out shipping finally, god damn it.
Yeah.
Well, no, that is interesting because I didn't pin it, but my Hobbytown, because like of course I'm also gonna go to Hobbytown because you know I am who I am. Their section has actually filled out. It used to be like shoved in next to the fucking German army tanks and the fucking retro classic cars, and I'd be like, oh, it's the same Suzabi that's been here for 3 years. And then they finally started getting new kits, and I was like, is that... I saw the Jafred from Gquuuuuux at mine, and I was like, you guys are ordering new kits? That doesn't seem like you. Hobbytown seems like a liminal space that's had the same stock for 30 years and has been dead for 40 years.
And yet every time you go there, like it has been clear that the shelves have been picked clean at least once while you were gone.
Here's my other anecdote.
Somehow.
Here's my other anecdote about that. At my local Gunpla store, I've unfortunately talked to many people because I like just talk to people. Like
I've unfortunately talked to many people,
right? And I met this guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I work, but the government sends me a check because of what happened to me in combat, and I just come in and spend that entire check on Gunpla, and that's just what I do with my free time."
Shout out.
I was like, oh, those are where the kits are going. So let's talk about Western reaction. I think in these moments, we as mecha fans, and Gundam fans especially, should remember that most people consume media and don't go online to talk publicly about it. Like, people usually go to their specific ecosystem, whether that's Tumblr, a specific Discord, your group text with people you go to cons with. But we can only really judge consensus based on these imperfect data sets that are out there. People who go out either in an extreme emotion or are just those types of people who post reviews online. Like, I talked to you about Gquuuuuux. I talked to our Discord about Gquuuuuux.
Right.
I didn't make one Blue Sky post about this because I don't...
Well,
yeah, I probably should have.
Well, no. I don't think that's necessarily true, but I will say I think we might have a particularly skewed view of how the fandom works for this because... as small as our following is, like we were, or at least I was as a social media person, having to be kind of a public presence during this whole thing because if you're going to be on Blue Sky and be a mecha themed podcast account while Gquuuuuux is happening and you're just like dead silent about it, like, what are you doing here?
Right.
So I saw, and this is one of the things I look back most fondly about my experience with the show, but just the way Blue Sky on every Tuesday was just alive all over again. Like, it's good. It was good.
Yeah. The posting, the theories, we were in
it.
The frames with meme. Every Machu meme gave me life. So let's go with what I found. Luckily, we have waited long enough that there are reviews online, not just the people posting, why is it starring a woman? I want Gundam to star boys. Not realizing that Zeta Gundam starred Camille, trans icon. So got that down.
Yeah. Okay.
So IMDb, 6.9 stars from 581 ratings. There are 7 written reviews, and the highest rated episode was episode 2, The White Gundam. That's the one where they just redo the 1 Year War at 7.7 stars. So
Bizarre.
I don't know. Rotten Tomatoes, nothing. No score. The beginning film does have a 91% fresh rating and over 100 reviews, so that got reviewed well. But again, that's not including the whole series. We were all high on the Gquuuuuux Kira at that point. I also want to give my anime list. This is probably going to be where we're going to get the best data from this because it's specifically for anime people. So this had a rating of 7.04 from 19,000 user scores. This is solidly in the middle for Gundam. Not the greatest rated one and definitely not the worst. That's pretty average. 7 is like
sorry, Seed.
Mid. Yeah. Sorry,
and or age.
You know what's really rated low? The Gundam 30 or whatever. The Gundam for I don't know. I've been deep into Gundam recently. Don't ask me why.
Recently, yeah.
Yeah, recently. So that's kind of the stats. I wanted to talk about that and give that framework to say that, like, despite anything we say or do, as far as Bandai is concerned, this performed well. As far as the public reaction, this performed okay. What this does tell us is that Bandai and Sunrise are gonna take more chances. This made them money. And unfortunately, that's all Sunrise and Bandai will ever care about is, did this make us a shitload of money? And the answer is yes. Actually, yes, it did. It made a shitload of money. All right, so what happened in Mobile Suit Gundam Gquuuuuux? I took this directly from the internet because I thought it was funny with the context of what we've seen. Amata Yuzahira, a high school student living peacefully in a space colony floating in outer space. She meets a girl named Yan. Amate is drawn to the illegal mobile suit dueling sport known as Clan Battle. Under the entry name Machu, she throws herself into fierce battle day after day, piloting the Gquuuuuux. Then, an unidentified Gundam mobile suit, pursued by both the Space Force and the police, appears before her, along with its pilot, a boy named Shuji. Now their world is about to enter a new era. And that's what happened to Mobile Suit Gundam Gquuuuuux. Let's go to the break!
Hi guys, it's your best friend and the person who cares about you most in the world, so you should probably burn every relationship that isn't with a member of this podcast, Brian. Got some announcements and reminders here for you all. First, as always, this is a podcast where we're talking about a lot of visual subject matter, so Alice spends a bunch of time every episode putting a bunch of pics up on the website at osgpod.com. Second, OSG has a Twitch at twitch.tv/OSG_pod. I stream every Sunday for the rest of the year. In the shell, I'll be doing Cyberpunk games. Third, OSG has a Ko-Fi. That's ko-fi.com/OSGpod. Literally nothing in this shit world costs $1 anymore, so you should give us your loose ones because we can do stuff like make ourselves sound better and do more extracurriculars with it. Also, we do give you a memorial hard stance every time you support us. I have one more thing to talk about, and then I'll release you, but you have to pay extra special attention here because it's really important and cool. We are about to enter a month of Big O coverage, and serendipitously, I also joined the Giant Robot FM zine team just as they announced their 5th zine on Big O2. Steven over at GRFM has graciously decided to extend an offer to OSG listeners only. Normally, you would have to be a patron at their $10 a month tier to receive a zine or pay $30 on their Ko-Fi shop. But you, listening to this right now, can get both their first zine on Big O Season 1 and the new zine that I did design and layout for $20. $20. I am wretched at math, but that is some percentage off of both of them, a kind of crazy percentage. So, yeah. So this is going to run from October 1st to October 31st, 2025 only for you all. And to make it work, you just head over to their Ko-Fi shop at ko-fi.com/giantrobotfm, all one word, and use the code OSGXGRFM, all one word, all caps. This is the only context OSG will ever advertise or partner with anything or anyone, so get them while they're hot. I promise you want the extreme multidimensional experience of listening to Big O coverage and reading these brilliant zines. Okay, again, OSGXGRFM at ko-fi.com/giantrobotfm. Do it now. Well, don't do it now. Do it starting the 1st. Okay, back to the show finally. You can tell me to shut up. I'm doing it. I'm shutting up right now. Right now, I'm shutting up. You can hear me shutting up right now.
Welcome back from the break. So, Brian, it's been 3 months. What are your thoughts? Give it to me. This is it. Free discussion. I'm sitting back. I'm listening. I'm opening my ears, and I'm listening.
In retrospect, I think the show really feels like a prolonged animation test for something greater. I think that the promo they did a couple years ago, like with Lala as like an idol, and they have the Amuro and Char like running through the stadium to confront her or whatever. Gquuuuuux like in my brain and the Gundam canon kind of occupies the same space as that, where it's like, this is really fun to look at. It's super, 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 super overly attached to something that I don't particularly identify with. Similar to many of our guests' opinions, which we'll play for you here in a bit. I am not sure that the show was interested in the things that were interesting in it. And that is just kind of unfortunate. One thing I can't detract from is, like I said, it's always going to be special to me. This was my first Gundam that I watched week to week, like with the fandom.
Right.
And it's been an incredible privilege to be someone that has so many connections now in the mecha sphere that I was able to see and participate in so much discussion week to week. Again, shout outs to the Giant Robot FM Discord. And then yeah, like the Blue Sky community, like on I don't know. I don't know how much my view is skewed on this, but it seemed to me that everyone was just having a really good time and not being a bunch of fucking assholes all the time.
They were on Twitter.
Yeah, that's probably true. Even like people like me who were like towards the end of the show being like, okay, this is rapidly cooling for me. Even that was like good natured.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to look back on that very fondly. I loved the posting. It's like
posting.
It's very valuable to me as someone who does a fandom podcast in a lot of ways to remember and be reminded that fandom can be very wholesome and comforting. So
yeah. What are some things that interested you that they didn't dig into enough? I guess would be where I go with that. Like for me, it was a lot of I'm going to be honest, the Machu plot. I feel like I was interested in that. I've seen Lala. I've met Lala. I get it. I get what they're doing. But I really wanted more of like, I wanted Nyan's weird backstory or something about her like growth, like
totally
a world in which the Earth Federation is the one on the back foot, like was really interesting when we interrogated that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the clan bat stuff, I remember I have such a vivid memory of us talking about this too, where it was like the structure of clan bat, the constant threat of like enforcement crackdown, the way that the narrative like folded the time limit of the episode into itself, all of that stuff was so fun. And I was like begging, screaming, crying, like, please don't leave this behind.
Or don't leave it behind for something middling. I need something that captures this feeling that I have right now.
Maybe that's on us for like bringing expectations into it. But I also, I chafe against that when we did spend 4 or 5 episodes doing that to add up to nothing really.
I also
in my
think
opinion.
Like the whole concept of the show is inviting those questions. It's inviting you to wonder what is next as a way to keep you going through the plot. Like it predisposes itself to being, this is about talking about an old show and reinterpreting it. And so we have a baseline and we're changing that. So it's playing in that space every single time. And it employs it as a weapon against the viewer to give you something that you might know and be like, hey, what you know about Bascom informs about what might happen here. So or like when the Psycho Gundam shows up, it's like, okay, yeah, what does this imply for future episodes? Like, so I think it's worth that criticism. I feel like it's worth talking about that. What, like, do you think you're ever gonna watch this again?
Firmly maybe. One of the things that I really enjoyed about it is like some of the characters that do last and have a lot of screen time, like Shalia, who gets to do a lot. Like, I think Shalia and Nyan are the best characters, and it's not even close. Like, Shalia is so fun to watch.
That's so
like
bold.
He's hot, sure, and I am mentally ill about him. Don't get me wrong. This fictional man is.
See, he does nothing for me, and I still think he's the most interesting character on screen.
Yeah, and I'm like problematic about him. Howsoever, I find his voice actor Shinji Kawada absolutely destroying the role. Everything he does is amazing. Like, I cannot stop thinking about his conversation that he has with Machu, where he's like manipulating her into going to Earth.
Oh,
it's fun. It's so fun. He's such a fun character. And then I get like by the end he's also criminally underserved in my opinion. But like, that is something that I'm willing to revisit. I am willing to live in that space again. Honestly, if I did a rewatch, here's what I would do. I would probably stop after the Psycho Gundam episode and just not watch the rest. Because that point marks the highest point in the show to me. Everything after that is immaculately made. Like, the visuals are never bad one time, I don't think. But like, it's just like a steep drop.
Like that first 3 as a movie and the last 3 as a movie are like, sometimes I don't want to watch the movie. I just want the 6 episodes in the middle that are just,
yes,
like,
absolutely.
What I love about Gundam, any Gundam series, even like, I want to point out, so like, I thought about what Gundam I would apply to this in my mind as a polarizing thing, and I'm going to put out 08th MS Team. Like, even the extreme endings of 08th MS Team, like, I could jump into one of those episodes and still have a fun time. And that's like, even knowing what happens, the journey of those episodes is fun. Something about what happens at the end of this is like, that was fun and it kept building up, but like, do I need to ever throw that back on? Not really. Do I want to see the Cool Wire episode again? Yeah, I really do.
Totally. Like a selection. I totally agree.
Yeah. But I also think it's fun as like, it's 12 episodes, which is short for a Gundam, and like, throw it on. I mean, if it was easy to access media, I just throw it on like any other Gundam, you know?
Yeah, you know, sometimes I throw on the Ava rebuild films, and I'm not particularly watching them, and it's I mean, some of that is like a weird comfort. You know, the stuff that happens in some other mecha franchises, and this is something that I think is fun about Gquuuuuux too, is like the horror of it all gets to be lighting is not the right word. I think it gets to be kind of patterned over a little bit by just like the funniness, the cuteness, the gentleness of the, like, you know, they're giant robots fighting, but I think the visual language of Gundam is a lot gentler and smoother and rounder than the visual language of something like Evangelion, right? Yeah. So I appreciate that about it, and like I said, it for spectacle, you know, if you want to watch a cool mech fight, you could watch like any of the first, I would say, like 7 episodes of Gquuuuuux, and like, you're gonna have to watch a cool mech fight, and that's just the truth.
That's real. Yeah. So rather than sit here and do an entire another like multiple hour record about like our overall thoughts, because like, hey, if you want our overall thoughts, there's like 4 episodes of us going episode by episode, so go check those out. But when I wanted to ask this and kind of get, I don't want to say a consensus, but I wanted to get the people we've had on and you and me to all just like get some concentrated thoughts on this into one episode, I came up with 10 questions because I feel like the question and answer format is good. So what we're going to do is me and Brian, you, the listener, will hear the question being read to you in a soothing voice, probably. And then what we're going to do is me and Brian are going to answer that. We are then we have these transmissions from our friends that we're going to play and listen to together, and then we'll talk about their answers. to see what kind of consensus we can do without having a full round table of all 6 of us sitting here in Gquuuuuux's cockpit. I'm currently on Brian's lap, which is weird because I'm piloting, but the little arms have come down and they're holding both of us gently.
Well, it's like weird. The certain inevitable geometry of the situation is such that.
So without further ado, because who cares about the buildup, let's jump into it.
Yeah.
Question 1. Now that you've had time since it aired, how will you describe your lingering thoughts on Gquuuuuuux? I think you should go first each time.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. We kind of just talked about this in some ways. Just to summarize, like, I'm pretty down on the show. I find the ending, like to me, a story is a holistic package, and like I enjoy picking things I like out of shows, but if it's offered to me as a package, I think like the wrapping, the beginning and the end are going to be like very fundamental like pieces of my opinion about it. And so I find Gquuuuuuux ultimately to be like extremely masturbatory. I don't understand why we can't let this shit go. Like, Gundam as a franchise is already, because of the fact that you're supposed to be able to watch any Gundam and not necessarily have the whole fucking thing, because that would just be impossible for anybody to watch it and you would fail. You have to repeat the same things over and over and over and over and over again. Gundam already does that so much. Like, why are we just like literally doing it? And so like that really, really bugs me. I feel like when it comes to women characters, Gundam has like a responsibility to like really pick it the fuck up here, and it totally failed again. And so that sucks. Like I said, I also think that it's visually stunning. I think it was fun to watch. I had a lot of fun with the fans, and that's cool.
Masturbatory is a great way to describe how it kind of feels. I totally get that. I want to jump off your thought on Gundam with women.
Yeah.
Oh, I've thought a lot about Machu since this aired, and like as a queer person, I very much try to apply a lens of gender fluidity to everything I watch. But legitimately, what makes Machu a female character? Does she ever explore that femininity? Not really, except for she's in love with a boy. That did irk me at the end of this. Like, by the end, I was like, oh yeah, I mean, like, she is very dismissive of her own gender identity. Like, the handstand with the skirt, like, yes, that's society implies gender, blah, 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 blah. But, like, Gundam is such a, like, binary, let's be honest here. Like, even its actual non-binary characters are in the binary. And so it's like, well, Machu's a girl character, so is Nyan. They both exist because there's a boy.
Well, we'll hear it, and actually probably it might be the answer to this question. I'm not sure. It has a great take on this, which I totally agree with, which is like, if you really pay attention, like, Machu barely makes any decisions throughout the whole run of the show. And the decisions that she does make are either undercut or later like revealed to be manipulations.
Yeah.
And the only like real decision she makes is like the last couple at the end. And that's in service of a cameo that we'll talk about that sucks shit.
Right.
So, yeah.
I'm opposite of you though, in that like my frustrations with this do not downplay how much I'm still kind of honestly hyped about it. Like I had a good time. I loved it. I bought the figures. Like, I'm dirty for this as a Gundam, but I've never been a good compass of what is good and righteous in the world, let's be honest. But like, my thoughts of it are, this is where this show sits in my memory, is my thoughts that I linger on is the ending dance where they're just vibing in the apartment, and I live in that space of head empty, Kira, no thoughts on this show a lot. I also think a lot about the designs. I just had a good time with those. So, like, my lingering thoughts are this will be in the oeuvre of Gundam for me forever. Like, I will recommend this to people as a companion piece to the original Gundam in a weird way. But, like, yeah, my other lingering thought on it is, like, oh no, man. How did nobody know that was Char? Like, come on. Come on.
Neither of the GRFM boys knew that was Char, and I gotta say, I'm not sure I believe you. I like all love and respect to, actually, I don't even have to say that. You guys know where we stand at this point in our relationship. I do not believe you.
I think they're doing a bit. I think it's a bit. Let's be honest. I think they're deep in it. For that, let's hear what our guest thought about this.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen.
Thank y'all. Can I click? I want to watch stream. I'm watching your stream.
I think I can.
It's bold. It's beautiful.
Move this over here. Okay, here we go.
Oh, I love this.
So we'll just play these in order, starting with tricky. So I'm actually, is this alphabetical? It is. No, it is not. It's not at all. I don't know why I thought that for even a second. Okay. Starting with tricky.
I'm left feeling that it is a show at odds with itself. It comments on the inescapable gravity of the universal century and the nostalgia that sees Char and Lala take the center stage from Machu and Yan. The breakneck pace in escaping the clan bat arc leads to the feeling that the showrunners were more excited about that nostalgia than anything original to the Gquuuuuux universe, or more specifically, when I did feel that excitement, it was using the girls as a viewpoint into the alternate UC timeline rather than developing their story. I would have loved a full version of the alternate history movie. I would have loved a full Jet Set Radio grunge punk Gundam, but they never really decided what they wanted to be, and I felt that detracted from the experience.
Jet Set
Radio is...
Yeah.
I was just about to say, that's such a good pull.
That is such a good
is the
pull
vibe
for
we
this.
wanted.
Yeah, same with the... I would like the full... I would like the alt UC timeline as its entire own series, separate of Jet Set Radio Gundam.
100%. 100%. Okay, next we have Steven.
I feel like I'm going against the grain here. While the general consensus, especially in Japan, on Gquuuuuux has been warm, the online Gundam intelligentsia, which I don't say disparagingly as I'm a part of it, is largely pretty cool on the show, I found. And I get why. And I share some of those concerns. It's overstuffed, overwritten, overambitious. The integration of a meta-narrative, coupled with the constant one-upmanship of the plot, leaves little room for Machu, Neon, and Shuji, supposedly our main characters, to breathe. The result is a show that feels rushed, underdeveloped, and honestly, a little cold. And yet, I'm still thinking about Gquuuuuux, which is something I can't say about other recent Gundam projects like Witch from Mercury, or even Kukuru's Island, for example. I'll elaborate shortly.
That is a great call. I have not thought about Kukuru's Island since I watched it. I know it exists.
It is like, you know that they have that meme where it's like, the wife being like, oh, he doesn't love me, he's cheating on me, he doesn't think about me, and then it pans over and it's the husband and he's thinking about like a motorcycle or whatever. PMC is that, but with Kukuru's Island. I don't understand why. I don't know. I'm not sure I know who that is.
It's episode 16 of the original series made into a full-length movie. That's it. That's all you need to know.
That's kind of beautiful.
Here's what I'll say. You would be PMC pilled about that same series. I am glad that Steven was warm on it, but more in a like, it lingers in a way that other Gundams don't. Because I do agree with that entirely.
Yeah. And like the cranberries, we should let it linger. Okay, we have PMC. That was so stupid.
I would describe them as souring rapidly. I think a show that at times was devoted to UC minutia and deep cuts, were not just First Gundam and Zeta Gundam and arguably War in the Pocket and stuff like that, but also you had cuts to references to written literature, whether that was Tomino's autobiography or the Secret Rendezvous book.
Hell yeah.
I think with any of those things, and then they took all that material, which drew a lot of our attention. It's on the screen. You're spending time on it. And then you're putting that against a set of undercooked original characters, especially an undercooked protagonist. And then it turns out that all along, the secret sauce that made the Gundam special, in this case, the titular Gundam special, was literally the lingering specter of Amuro Ray as voiced by Toru Furuya. I get tired thinking about this. It makes me feel tired that there is what feels like a stated pitch for breaking the cycle of Gundam fandom, and you brought Toru Furuya on your production. And I know maybe there's contractual reasons they couldn't get out of that, but god damn it, it is uncomfortable and does not make me happy.
We can talk about the Toru Furuya thing. I will say later we'll dish the whole thing. And if anybody listening is
perfect.
wondering about the details,
If we needed
they
to
will
get
talk
the
about
deets,
it.
perfect. Because I was like, those deets need to get out there. And I think I think PMC describing it as exhaustion is good. But I also like the call to, we had a chance to break the cycle, which is, I think, the feeling a lot of people had in the Gundam Intelligentsia, as Steven calls it. And then we just did the cycle again. Like you said earlier, we just have to tell the same story.
Here we go with Thal.
As my thoughts were during the show, my lingering thoughts are mixed. The show displays an undeniably high level of craft, perhaps most clearly exemplified in the montage sequence in episode 6 and in the middle of what I think is probably the strongest episode 4. And I kind of have a burgeoning thesis, no doubt a gross oversimplification, that Tsuramaki's work is perhaps at its strongest when it's closest to being a music video. I still think that Gquuuuuux has a kind of barren obsession with the original Gundam. Compare it to Turn A, which is a sort of wild, out there reflection on Gundam. Perhaps some of the fault here lies in the very format, late night anime, and late night anime's quite niche audience. In mere content, Gquuuuuux relates to the original Gundam, but in format, audience, and tone, it's much more like 0083. It's a prestige project for long-time fans, hooking back into past entries, using high-level, typical robot animation techniques of the time. Iron-Blooded Orphans and Gquuuuuux are much more faithful to the original Gundam in being general audience titles that set out to entertain people who don't necessarily know much about Gundam. And I've kind of come around to the view on rewatching parts of Gquuuuuux that the 3D CG is perhaps held back from showing off its strengths for much of the show. So I'm kind of conceptually opposed to 3D CG animation, or at least I'm not very interested in it. But laying that aside, the early fights in Gquuuuuux, for at least the first 2/3 of the show, cleverly recreate a bunch of shots from past Gundam, but therefore tend to spurn the things that 3D CG lets you do remarkably well that are really hard to do in hand-drawn mechanical animation, like extreme camera movement and rotation. There are a few late fights in the show, in the last couple of episodes, where it feels like that effort to recreate has been discarded. And in those fights, actually, I think the 3D CG really sings much more strongly, whether or not you like it. So I have my complaints, but it's a tremendously interesting show. I've really enjoyed thinking about it and picking at the ways in which it is actually really well made. And I'm very glad that it was made. So I'm by no means here to condemn it. I can't say that I love it.
Ooh. Somehow the most damning of all of them, but also...
I was just going to say, damned by faint praise.
Damned by faint praise. I think Thaliarchus coming in last really puts a cap on that question, which is like, for a lot of us, we thought about this, and I think that that's the best thing that anyone can say about this, even if that caused psychic damage to PMC. I did like that Thaliarchus called out the 3D CG, which, like, I can live with. Brian, you reacted to that physically.
Well, like, I just cheered when Thal said that, like, that he generally doesn't care for it. I also generally don't care for it. I will say, I have been, I would say, forcibly desensitized to it, kind of like a horse, kind of shaking a blanket at a horse. I have had to watch a lot of really bad, really unappealing CGI, and then I've even watched, I would say, CGI that would be considered fairly good and still didn't really like it. I think this show generally looks great. I think this is probably the best CGI mecha that I've seen.
They did the work to dial it in and make it not too egregiously out of place, and I think that says a lot. All right. Question 2. Did any of your theories for Gquuuuuux come through? Please feel free to flex anything you got right.
Okay, so for me, I don't really I don't remember. I know I had a couple of things I was like, oh, I bet blah, 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 blah. But like, I don't really do theories in a serious way.
Yeah. I got
that's
one.
just like not. Okay, what's your one that you were right about one?
I want to call out, which is you can go back into our first episode. I called it. It ended up with those two on a beach on Earth. I called it.
That is absolutely true. I remember this now.
I knew it. I
you
saw
did.
it. I was like, I know where they're going with this. There's no way. When Machu evoked that, I said, yeah, that's going to happen. That's the one thing I can be certain of. I think none of my other theories came true. I was reaching so far past what this show was doing. I think most people were.
Yeah. I was going to say, I do remember I did say one thing, which is that I at one point, I do remember thinking that Char was probably like suborned LCL style into the Red Gundam. And I stand by that. I think that's actually kind of a cooler answer than he's a guy walking around doing normal stuff with the government. He just has a different fucking haircut. Are you kidding me? Anyway.
It was so much better when I thought he was the Red Gundam and Amuro was the White Gundam. So much better when I thought that's what this was. What a tricky app.
I was on early enough that the theorizing was pretty light on the ground, but I did see a lot of the Lala stuff coming. Maybe not the exact whats and whys of the Rose of Sharon, but I knew it was going to be Lala. The way they keyed into Lala's resonance so early and often with the Saikamu made that feel pretty safe as a bet.
Yeah.
And then I was wondering if they would get weird with it. They did. It was cool seeing that the Elmeth, everything that they did with the Frozen in Time look, came across great. Lala is the mother of the infinite UC multiverse. I can take or leave. But I feel like a lot of that is wrapped up in the Shuji of it all. If the conflict had played out directly between Lala and Char, I think it would have come across a lot better.
Okay.
Yeah, I see that. I do like how they did the time freeze with the Elmeth. I think that was like...
That was good shit, I gotta say.
A good way to do it. Because immediately evokes that, oh, this isn't a fucked up version in this universe of the Elmeth. This is the Elmeth, and something's wrong with it. Much different.
I do love the Elmeth. I love seeing the Elmeth.
When it's on screen, I'm clapping.
I'm clapping at the Elmeth, yeah. Okay, we have Steven?
Nah, not really. I sensed, and this is more due to me being terminally online rather than my own skills of deduction, but I was able to do some of the big things before they happened, like Lala and the pocket dimension. But even though Gquuuuuux wasn't quite as tailor-made for theory crafting as Gwitch was, there was definitely some fun space for takes. But I'm more of an experiential viewer than a predictive one. I like to exist in a space rather than guess the next one. My mind doesn't work like that. For example, I didn't clock that the mysterious blonde-haired Shiru Uzu, who shows up midway through the show, was Char until it was explicitly told to me.
You are a liar.
That is such a... That's a lie. That's a lie. But also, Steven really is the type to just live in the moment, so I can kind of see it.
Maybe, yeah.
So my biggest theory in Gquuuuuux that I was really ride or die for was that Shuji was not real. That in the early parts of the show, they go out of their way to not have Shuji meet anyone except for Machu and Nyan. And, including like not showing his face. There's like surveillance pictures of the hangar or the tube where the Red Gundam hangs out. And you don't see Shuji, you just see the Red Gundam. And it really suggested that like, oh, maybe he's just some sort of, new type apparition or something along those lines. And I guess that wasn't true, but in the end, Shuji disappears from the midpoint through, the final seconds of the penultimate episode. And his identity isn't material to the show, period. Like, he may as well not have existed. So, effectively, materially, I think I was right. He was a stand-in for some metatextual thoughts, which is fine if those thoughts were good, but they aren't. And so, that leaves me wondering, like, okay, well, who is this guy anyway? Like, Char, you met this guy. Who was he? Where did he come from? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. It's so easy to bump on the clumsiness of the plot and the self-defeating thematic material. So yeah, I don't know. Shuji may as well not have been real.
Honestly,
do we award? I feel like we have to award points for that. I think that is a correct theory. Shuji really kind of didn't exist.
I was gonna say materially. I mean, I was fascinated by Shuji. I thought he had a real potential to be gender. No, he was nothing. And I kind of agree. I maybe the show would have been better without him. What if they were just interacting with an empty Gundam?
Honestly, can you imagine if Shuji wasn't there? It was just the red Gundam. That'd be fucking great.
Yeah, I would pop for that. Okay, we got Thal.
I'm not sure that I made predictions during the run of Gquuuuuux. Not that I think it's a bad thing to do, but it doesn't tend to be the way that I engage with anime. And in some ways, Gquuuuuux is quite a backwards-looking show.
Yeah.
Predictions maybe don't really gel with what turned out to be the spirit of the show, right? I mean, by the end of Gquuuuuux, everything is resolving back towards 0079.
That's real.
Yeah.
I mean, I think most of the theory crafting was forward-looking in a way that this show is not interested in being.
Yes, totally. Well, because, all they have to look forward to is G-Savior.
Right. Question 3. This is probably my favorite question. Do you think Machu made a good Gundam protagonist? What about Nyan?
Okay. I don't have I have a lot more Gundam experience than I used to. I still don't have what I would consider a lot. I would say I find her to be a decent protagonist in the context of Gundam, mostly because there are some protagonists I already know I don't like at all, even though I haven't really seen them that much.
Name them. Name and shame.
Shin.
Correct answer.
Okay, this one is just very anecdotal. I don't even know what this person looks like, but I have heard that the protagonist for 08MS team is a very boring person. So I don't know.
I'm nodding for those at home. I'm
Okay.
nodding.
Anyway, I would say I would not find her to be generally a good protagonist in the wider in the concept of telling stories. I find her to be a protagonist that is not set up to succeed by the narrative. And I don't mean succeed as in win. I mean succeed as in be a successful character that is executed well, let's say.
Yeah, I think I mean I'm gonna be much cooler on her. I'm gonna be I'm not cooler. I'm gonna be really into Machu, just who I am as a person. Let's be honest. As far as Gundam protagonists go, it's hard not to put her against Soletta because female Gundam protag, and in that realm, equal. Soletta's story was I mean, we can't talk about Witch from Mercury. We're talking about Gquuuuuux, but I think Machu I like as a Gundam protagonist, and the way that Gundam protagonists always just seem to never be moving the plot forward, except for in actual combat, when their actions make choices. So I think that's good. I think she's a good Amuro Ray. Is the most damning praise I can give. She's a great Amuro Ray.
Yeah.
But about Nyan, I liked Nyan. I'm just mad that I didn't get more of her story. The one
I love
scene
Nyan.
where she fucking just rips with the Fred, and that did you know that's not even the full episode? That's 18 minutes of the episode is that plot. There's other parts of that episode. They don't even spend the whole Nyan episode on Nyan, which is insulting.
It's a slap in the fucking face. I think Nyan rules. I think she's one of the better characters in the show. I think when someone says the word Gquuuuuux to me, the moments I think of that are landmark moments throughout the run of those episodes are almost all Nyan moments, and the ones that aren't Nyan moments are Shalia moments. So
Yep.
Yeah.
But what did our friends think about these two?
Spoiler alert, I'm pretty sure they all agree with both of us.
Yeah.
This is a really tough one. I like Machu. I think she's a really fun character. I'd hesitate to say that she's a good protagonist. In my mind, a good protagonist should drive the action. There should be agency. Narratively, of course, that's not a requirement. Part of my hesitation is that outside stealing Gquuuuuux in the start and attempting to abscond with the money at the end of the Clan Bad arc, she's just generally kind of doing things because other people are telling her to. That whole Lala detour on Earth, Gquuuuuux, and we'll get to that in a bit, makes her go visit the brothel, then takes her to the Rose of Sharon, and then she's immediately picked up by Chalia because this whole thing was all his plan. He talks several times about wanting to be a jellyfish in the ocean. I think she's doing a great job throughout the series of that same drifting in the current, going with the flow, and it's only at the very end of the series when she's faced with total existential annihilation that she stops drifting. Great character, wonderful to watch, but too often she felt like a supporting character in somebody else's story. As for Nyan, I actually thought she had a great arc. Her struggles with belonging are all over the screen. She makes a lot of big, dumb moves that make things happen, and generally speaking, she's making the kid's side of the back half way more interesting than Maju is. I think the scene where she shoots Caecilia in the theater is one of the strongest moments in the show, and that is all her. I wish she'd gotten to do a bit more in the climax, but unfortunately the name of the show isn't G-Fred.
Damn. Got him.
Nice. Yeah, I agree with everything. No notes. Yeah.
Steven?
Unlike the show as a whole, I'm far less warm on Machu and Nyan. Don't get me wrong, they're serviceable Gundam protagonists in that they embody the angst and yearning necessary for the plot to function. But I do not, unlike Shalia, find them compelling. You could argue that's more on me, the 37-year-old male viewer, than the show, but they are so consistently sidelined by the narrative that's tough not to want more. Nyan's role is the more problematic. Machu is a fairly one-dimensional character, the embodiment of a flipped middle finger. She's an echo of Camille Badan, a feisty and privileged teenager who wants to break from the conformity of her bourgeois life on a space colony. Nyan, on the other hand, could have been a much more nuanced character. A space refugee picking up odd jobs while finding herself in the vastness of space is fertile ground for storytelling. But our moments with Nyan, and to a lesser extent, Machu, are fleeting. Once the show reaches the midway point, the attention frustratingly shifts to Char and the meta-narrative, leaving our two teenage protagonists behind. Which is particularly egregious considering Gquuuuux's larger commentary on leaving Gundam, the brand, behind, which even it couldn't do.
Damn.
Yeah, that's...
Got him. Got him again.
It's so they were so sidelined. Yeah.
MC?
So let's talk about Machu first. And I think I don't really ever connect to Machu. Machu is not my kind of protagonist. She is a child of privilege who has become dissatisfied, is, I think, seeking what she feels are greater truths, right? Like she has a desire to connect with the real sky and the real ocean and all these other things and sort of like really get in touch with her identity. I think some of her initial interactions with Anki, I think she is at her best in her arc with Anki. You know, seeking an older figure to connect with, shedding that when she sees how the winds are blowing. That is, I think that's when her character is firing the most. And then in the back half of the show, I don't know. I guess like she has some interactions with Shalia Bull, but they're often just talking past each other. And it's, you know, what is she even really doing with the end of the show? Because at that point, at the point that Shuji isn't real, her interactions with Shuji don't have meaning. So does she make a good Gundam protagonist? I think she is a perfectly frustrating Gundam protagonist. Honestly, I feel like she would have been better as the secondary character. I think a lot about her good and bad reminds me of the Jeturks from Gquuuuuux, in which she never really suffers the consequences of her actions and continues to sort of benefit from where she starts in life. In contrast, Nyan is a much more compelling character throughout the run of the show. And that's even when the back half of the show is really just kind of throwing her out. I think her relationships with her delivery driver contact, her relationship with Caecilia, like honestly, one of the more compelling interactions with Caecilia that we've had in all of Gundam. But, you know, she gets thrown away in the final episode, just kind of G-Frey gets squished for some reason. But yeah, I think, I would put Nyan right there with characters like Judao or Uso, coming from this impoverished background, having to make do. I would love, if there's a character in Gquuuuuux that I want to see more of and want to know more about, what did Nyan do on her last colony? that, she knows how to pilot a suit. She's probably the best part of the show. And so I think she's, naturally, I would say she's a fun protagonist, and I compared her to, I think, very favorably to characters like Judao and Uso.
I like the idea of flipping them, honestly. Like that. That's
I like the idea of flipping them too. Yeah. I think the Fred looks cooler also.
It does, and sadly, the one that we lost.
I know. R.I.P.
R.I.P. Fred.
All right. Oh, I muted PMC. Hold on. These are recordings. We're not like making them sit there and watch us do this, by the way.
Clear the cuck chair.
I don't know if there's a template that Gundam protagonists should follow. I rather hope there isn't one. I think Nyan is more interesting than Machu. In my view, it's often best to think of characters relationally, and the developing contrast and tension between Machu and Nyan is a strength of the show, albeit one that perhaps dwindles out of it in the later parts. Machu's interesting. The scenes conveying her ennui in the colony work, and once the show digs in a bit more to reveal that, you know, she lives a relatively cozy life and is in some ways less sympathetic than Jan, there's something there, but I'm not sure it comes together very much. And I don't, anticipating, of course, a future question, but I don't think that's necessarily because of time. There are Gundam titles of the same length and shorter which have more interesting protagonists who change more, if that's a yardstick you want to use.
Once again, extremely insightful. Thank you. I think
every time I hear the word ennui, that is when I heard that I was like, that's Machu. Yep.
I think the point about other Gundams having stronger protagonists with less time is very strong. You know, we talk. Al from 0080 is like iconic.
Anyway. Looking at it more as a interactions between the characters, like,
yes,
that is where these two characters have juice, is when they're interacting with others and not in their head. So I like that. Wait, I have to say it cutely. Question 4. What is a mobile suit from Gquuuuuux that you liked and why?
I think for this one, I'm gonna say I don't know. I still don't know what my favorite suit is. Well, maybe I do. I have notes on this later, but I think for this one, I'm gonna say the Psycho Gundam. I just think that there are a lot of ways in which the show plays with like seeds of the past Gundams that don't work at all, work to varying degrees. The Psycho Gundam, I basically have no notes on. I think the way they did it is incredible. I think that episode, again, that is the best episode in the show to me. In no small part due to how fucking sick the Psycho Gundam is.
Even when it's in its little crunched up form? Is it the bones? Do you like the bones?
I like the bones. I like when mechs are freaky and weird and scary.
Okay, and
I'm here to say it. Yes.
Bold statement coming from you. For me, I thought about this one. I thought about this one after I wrote it in the list. I was like, you know what? I actually haven't really leaned back in a chair and thought about which one I would just be like, I like that one. And I'm here to say Gyan. And I think the reason for me is that it's such a better design than the original, because the original just kind of sucks. And I've seen this reinterpreted before, but this is one where I'm like, if this one, except for the bulbous parts that make Gquuuuuux Gundams. I just called all mobile suits Gundams. Fight me. Except for the bulbous parts, this could fit in another series as a standalone suit. And I don't know. It's just one that I've lingered on for a long time. Just being do want to get another kit from this series. Maybe I do need him in my life. Maybe he'll fix me. But what did our friends say to this question?
Let me answer that question.
My first thought was the reimagined Psycho Gundam, and honestly, on any given Sunday, it might still take the top spot. But I want to spotlight the 01 Gundam. You know, that thing we see for a minute in the flashback when Char steals the white Gundam? Damn, that thing looks great. I love the GM-style head with the Gundam V and the more conventional EFSF chassis. Has a much clearer through line to the light-type gun cannon the EFSF settles on once Operation V follows through, but more than anything, it just has a more classic Gundam feel to me in the way that the red and white Gundams don't.
I kind of agree with that. This is a suit that we see so briefly, but it kind of fucks.
I don't remember this suit at all, I'm going to be honest with you. I looked it up and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, Steven.
Question 4. Yamashita is the mechanical designer Gquuuuuux needed, even though he's the one no one wanted. To say his busy and greebly designs were off-putting to most folks is an understatement, I think. And I largely fall into that camp. To his credit, though, I think Yamashita is the right fit for an AU-UC show. The premise of Gquuuuuux requires redesigns of Okawara's iconic originals, many of which are so archetypically simple. The Zaku 2, the Jim, the Rickdom, all have become platonic ideals of mecha design. Thus, to iterate on and differentiate from what came before, I think a maximalist approach is best, at which Yamashita excels. And in that regard, I think the new Rick Dom works. It's not as audacious as some of Yamashita's other designs. It retains the same color scheme and shape of the original, but smartly adds a third leg, which has major implications for its fighting style. And I think that's neat.
Yeah, it does.
Shout out to the new Gyan, too, which I feel is the overall fan favorite.
Am I the fan?
Yeah, that fucking Rick Dom rules so hard, bro.
Calling out the implications.
I love it
of, like,
so much.
I know what it is, and it pulls the right elements. Also, goddamn, our friends are smart.
They are so smart. It's so I really thank you guys so much for doing this. This was incredible of you.
I love our friends.
I look up at my standard Dom. This is actually a Dom Trooper, not a Rick Dom, but the Dom is.
Are you a Rick Diaz, a Rick Dom, or a Dom Troopin kind of girly?
You can't make me pick. I love them all so much.
Yeah, but God, they're so good.
Actually, you know what? I think the Rick Diaz being red is really strong.
It's real. It's real.
Okay. PMC.
So I'm going to give this one to the G-Fred. I think the color scheme is a lot of fun, and the weapons are fun. The bits are okay, like the kind of earring style bits and the gun. I think the thing that really makes the G-Fred memorable is the way that it interfaces with the big gun, the Cthulhu gun. I forget what it's called. It has Yomagnutho. That like facial, like all the wires popping out of the face and slamming into the internal guts of the Yomagnutho. That's really cool. That was one of the best visual images mechanically of the show, which is saying something because, there was lots of fun details at various points, lots of little mechanical details from these Studio Kara nerds. So I think the G-Fred's really a big winner.
It's such a good design. Like, the G-Fred is just so, but like, I struggle so much to pull the Unit 01 out of it. Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. This is PMC have both been oscillating on equally radical but completely opposite axes when it comes to the G-Fred. When he was our guest on the episode where the G-Fred debuted, and I was so high on it that episode. I was like, this thing is like so amazing. And PMC was like, yeah, I think this thing looks like a ski boot. I remember he specifically said, I think this thing looks like a ski boot. And now he's out here fully 180 on it. And I kind of am too a little bit. I still like it a lot more than the Quux, but
hey, we can say it. I think all of our opinion is that is the better Gquuuuuux.
Yeah.
I'd like to give a shout out to the Kikaroga, which I know is in some sense a mobile armor, but let's say it counts. It's a fun and unusually inventive step for Gquuuuuux to say, what if there's a little guy inside the Proud Bro design, and that little guy's proportions are distinctly weird in a way that sort of fits with the original casing. I think that's fun and inventive and a bit adventurous. Kind of fits with the way that Shalia Bull, originally a single episode character in First Gundam, is one of the stronger aspects of Gquuuuuux, probably, is sort of this sort of sprightly, engaging, self-directing figure with a real sense of agenda and purpose. It's fitting that he winds up with this strange mobile suit, mobile armor, and I thought that was a nice touch. I would have been happy to see more of it.
I'm cheesing so hard because I agree. I agree with this so much. I agree with this so much.
This design.
I know you do.
I hate it so fucking much. But I love that people love it. And honestly, the fight between him and the Gyan, it kind of do fuck in that fight though. He is cleaning house.
Every single Kikaroga Chalia fight, every time I see that thing, I'm clapping. Even if you don't like its design, he owns in it. He never loses.
Nope. I just want to see the animation slowed down. I want to see it eat itself very slowly to come to terms with it. It scares me, Brian. It scares me.
It scares me too, and that is what I love about it. Let me tell you. Okay.
Freak. Question 5. What's a mobile suit from Gquuuuuux that you disliked? and why? I'm gonna get mine right up, which is the gun cannon. I think the gun cannon.
This surprises me.
That's the thing. I think I don't like the gun cannon because it replaces the GM. There's no GM in this, and that makes me so sad because, like, the gun cannon as a platform is a support unit, and also, I don't know, something about the way it's like, its hips are really wide in a way that's upsetting to me, and like its shoulder base is wide, and like, just give it a gun too. Like, every time we see it, it's so reliant on its shoulder blasters. Give that man a gun. Also, its feet don't really match, like, the Gelgoog or anything else. So, like, that was one that I, like, legitimately, when it's on screen getting owned, which it is only there to get owned, I was wanting, as Steven said, I wanted Jim to show up. And he wasn't here. What about you,
Jim
Brett?
was not here. Okay, I might be assassinated for this. I've actually kind of said something to this effect on both the boys' podcast and ours before, which is that, like, the original Gundam and frankly most Gundam designs really don't do it for me. I don't find the colors particularly appealing. I don't find the shapes particularly appealing. The head is okay, but the head is only okay in, like, the later iterations when it gets wider, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The wing heads have exactly the same stuff going on as the original Gundam, but they're, like, stretched wider. In a way that makes them look a little bit less like an old man glaring at you. You know what I mean? And I just don't care for it. So I'm going to, like, kind of do a wrap answer and say, like, every evocation of that. So, like, the white Gundam before Amuro paints it, the one that Tricky was talking about, which I don't remember at all. And then the one at the end, not into it. Doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Certified Gundam hater.
I know. And like, the thing is, I think Gundam is such a fun time. It's just never the Gundam that's, except for Wing.
Question 5. Well, unfortunately, it's the titular Gquuuuuux. It's really nothing that the design itself did, but the reveal in the final episode that the Endymion unit was the will of Amuro, and voiced by Toru Furuya. For those unfamiliar, in May 2024, Furuya confirmed a report in Shukan Bunshin that he had an affair with a significantly younger female fan over the course of 4.5 years, physically assaulted her, and pressured her into an abortion. He's been dropped from almost all of his voice acting roles since: Toru Amuro in Detective Conan, Sabo in One Piece, Yamcha in Dragon Ball, etc., and even from works that were almost completed at the time, like Metaphor Read Fantasio. It's a statement for Bandai to bring him back, even if it is to just sneak him in for one line. What really ruins the Gquuuuuux for me, though, is what I previously liked most about it: the hands in the cockpit. I thought it was cute how the Gquuuuuux was supporting Machu or protecting her on re-entry. Now, those hands feel a lot more sinister.
Fucking owned. Honestly, you ate that, Tricky.
Yeah. Hey, also, fuck that guy. He has not apologized.
Guy.
He is a horrible abuser.
The Cavalier, I generally would not advise you to do this unless you're, like, into the weird disaster porn of these things, but if you read that interview, like, he is so fucking cavalier about it. This dude sucks so fucking bad. Anyway, Steven.
All right, this one's easy. Char's custom red Gundam. It's so off-putting. It looks like a pustule or something unwanted that you remove from your body. And this repellent quality isn't helped by the predictably sinewy yet skeletal proportions of Yamashita's design. I think most of the dissonance comes from its busy exterior. There are lots of bits and bobs. And it's simple, all red color scheme. The two just don't gel, and I hate it.
The two reds on this just suck. It should have been one red. Why is it two-toned? Why?
I don't feel as strongly as Steven and many people do about this, but yeah, it doesn't, once Steven said it, or I think it's PMC that says that it's the lemon Gundam, I can't unsee it at all, and it just, it's not great. I think the bits are the best part. The bits are really, really cool.
I love the accoutrement. I love all of the little yellow strips. Yeah, there are parts I really like about this, unfortunately.
The Gquuuuuux. The Gquuuuuux never really has a visual identity. It honestly, because it has those horns, those red horns that fold out, it kind of made me think that it was like a gag Gundam, like a parody Gundam. Like it would show up in that. Remember, there was like a trailer that was like a parody, like deer comic, like anime, where everyone's like a deer. The Gquuuuuux would show up in that, and now it would be the deer Gundam. It never really had an identity. Like we didn't know what was special about it. In fact, I kind of wish we still didn't know what was special about it. And then beyond that, even she had the Heat Hawk early on that she stole. And then later on, they just get weapons at times. And I guess the weapons are fine. Like, the sword they use in the final episodes is, like, okay. And then, like, she has, like, the quantum mode where she, like, breaks the limiter and, like, some stuff pops out. And it doesn't really look good. It's just, like, it looks like Jetsons stuff.
I'll admit it.
I don't know. I'm a hater. I'm sorry. Gquuuuuux, just really, the mobile suit is just... Why did the G-Frag get destroyed and the Gquuuuuux survive? Did it get partly blown up? I don't remember. I'm wishing it got blown up. I haven't gone back and rewatched the last episode. This is a postmortem. I'm not supposed to.
Certified
I'm keeping all of that, by the way.
Hater, and I love it.
Yeah. That was A+. I loved that.
That was so good. That was so good.
I am not a fan of the Gquuuuuux version of the original RX-78-2. I can't be sure. I don't think this is simply because it's a design close to the heart that's been changed. And I do quite like the original RX-78-2 design, but I wouldn't say it was at the top of my list of favourite mechanical designs. The Gquuuuuux version of the RX-78-2, to give it credit, absolutely has a clear sort of intention and a lean in its design with these struts and roll bars and safety bars, which make it look a little bit more like, I suppose, a plausible machine built with concern for safe operation. The lines that it winds up having in its torso are, maybe they fall into the uncanny valley for me, if that's a real phenomenon, which is up for debate. They certainly look uncomfortably human, and I'm just not convinced that looking more like something that was designed for safe operation fits the RX-78-2 either in First Gundam or really in Gquuuuuux. But maybe I'm kvetching about, a perfectly good design. At least it has like a real sense of pith and intent and force behind it. It's not a nothing design, so we must give it that.
As someone in a similar profession to what was once my dream, I respect Thaliarchus very much, but I disagree. I think this is nothing, and we can give it nothing if we want to.
I do like the I can call it the uncanny valley. Yeah, I get that now. I see that now that is in my head. I'm like, yeah, it kind of is a little too human. That's okay. All right.
Okay. I think we should be transparent on the pod here. So what's happened with this sixth question is that question 6 was go through all of the all of the Gundams, all the Pikachus, but we didn't structure this. So when everybody went through all of the mobile suits, they weren't looking at all the same lists, and B did not use the list in the same order or methodology. So what I'm going to do, I think this is a great vibe. I think this is a good idea. Let me know what you think, Alice. I'm going to cut away to just like a montage of a bunch of opinions with music in the background.
Question 6. Could you briefly give your thoughts on all the designs of mobile suits we saw in Gquuuuuux?
So we're starting with the Gquuuuuux itself. Strong points here. I like the thrusters on the back, and I really, really like the shape of the legs. Though again, I'm not a fan of the struts.
This is great. I loved the samurai hat. I loved the naked form. I loved the reflector bits everywhere.
As I said, very cool design. Third leg, great touch. Big ups from Steven.
Gelgoog. So I like this guy a lot. I also like, in particular, the fact that this is the one that we get with Shiko.
The Gquuuuuux gun cannon, I kind of fond of. I like the pseudo face effect that appears in its chest.
I wish it got more screen time. This guy is so cool.
I don't particularly care for Yamashita's Gquuuuuux. It's just too busy. I feel dizzy looking at it, like I'm looking at a poor imitation of a Duchamp painting.
Other than the whole Furuya thing and the dumb frisbees. I liked it.
Moving along, we've got the G-Fred. It's a little hard to forgive the colour scheme, but laying that aside, it has the Gquuuuux's excellent legs and feet, so, top marks there.
Those zip lines are cool as hell.
I think the ship designs outclass the mech designs in Gquuuuuux by a considerable margin. Kara, and before it, Gynax, excels in giving weight and texture to inanimate objects.
We got a lot of cool Zaku's. I think this is probably one of the better ones.
They looked cool dismantling the big Zams, but it's not my favorite design.
I don't have strong feelings either way, actually, on the Hammurabi.
I like this one exactly as much as it has bits. All the bits, great, fantastic. No notes. No bits, get that shit out of here.
This is a fun take on the Zaku.
The Red Gundam are, as I said, ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly.
So this is called the Lemon Gundam, I believe. It is extremely stiff looking. They just painted the whole thing red.
Not a fan. Let's move along.
Ugly.
It's like the Red Gundam, but it never had any bits. It's not for me.
I'm a hater for this one. This is messy.
Not a fan of the additional detail on the legs.
It looks like a cast-off reject.
Ugly.
Like a melted Toy Story toy or a Steven Universe like gem chunk, if you know what I'm talking about.
I legitimately forgot this was in the show until I saw this on the official mech list. This thing has 0 presence. It evokes no emotion.
The proportions aren't quite right. They're close, but not quite right, which actually makes it a little bit more egregious.
This is upsetting. Do not, under any conditions, pull your skeleton out through your nose and reassemble your skeleton in front of your now boneless body. Boneless Kikuroga is not something I should have had to consider.
The Gelgoog is one of the few Yamashita variants to get this right. There's no dissonance with the proportions. The legs, torso, and head are equally proportioned, which is probably why I like it so much.
Man, I remember calling out that it was weird that they were calling the bra bro the Kikuroga. This thing sucked, and its transformation was jank. I'd rather see an honest take on the OG Kikuroga.
Ugly.
Question 7. What is a mobile suit from the Universal Century that we did not get a Gquuuuuux version of that you would have loved to see Hutu Yamashita take a swing at? Brian just pulled the Queebly off of the shelf. Hell yeah.
I don't know if anybody knows this about me, but in my I'm an expert. We've been doing this podcast for 3 years. I'm an expert. My expert opinion is that the Queebly is the greatest mobile suit ever created or designed by anybody on Earth. And I think that it would have been, I can't guarantee it would have been a success. I don't think every mobile suit in this show is a success, but I am yearningly curious to see it get that like strutted, greebled attention that the mechanical designers of Gquuuuuux have given everything else. And to echo a sentiment that we're going to hear from everybody else in this question too, the show deserved more Zeta love. Zeta was like forced into one episode, whereas everything else kind of gonna be suffused throughout. So just to say that.
Love that. Mine is, you'll never guess. I want to see the GM. I want to see Jim. Give me Jim.
Yeah. I knew this was going to be your answer when you were talking about that other thing.
That's it. Yeah.
Jim. The GM Sniper, that is a great...
GM Sniper 2
would
have been great.
I love the GM Sniper 2.
Whatever happened to the GM Sniper 1? It exists only in a technical manual drawing. Thank you for asking.
Oh, really? Thank you. I was actually just thinking about that. I was just going to say, that is our compromise. That is the GM that is where Alice and I meet. I think the GM Sniper 2 is great.
That's real.
I love a freak that's purpose built for one thing and then is there to get completely owned.
Constantly getting L's.
All right.
Honestly, it's got to be the Xiong. It's just always been one of my favorites. The Gundam Xiong fight is just so iconic. Come on, Lala. Just imagine the alternate timeline where Char had enough time to get them to build perfect Xiong with legs. He needs those legs. He can't kick mobile suits without legs. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense in the conceit of the show, but if I can pull anything, yeah, Xiong with legs.
They would have fucked up and given it 3 legs.
Have you seen that thing where they superimposed the Xiong onto the Big Zam and called it the Big Xiong? And it's like It looks terrible, but I want to see it so bad.
Oh, you know it have some fucked up legs. All of the like prototype drawings of it just give it like normal like Gelgoog legs. I want fucked up Zeong legs. I want chicken legs.
Okay, Steven.
I really wanted more Zeta love while watching Gquuuuuux, a desire that's only enhanced now that I'm rewatching Zeta. We've seen so many variations of the Zaku, but far fewer of the Rick Diaz, for example. And for that reason, I'm going to pick the Bound Dock. It's already an eccentric design, which I feel complements Yamashita's strengths. And I would like to see his take on it.
No.
I would die. That's it. I would love that.
think the Bow Dock is the ugliest thing ever made by human hands. Moving on.
Okay.
We need a transforming suit in Gquuuuuux. That is like,
Yes.
I mean, I know arguably we had some transforming suits, like because the Kikuruga got a transformation. The Psycho Gundam kind of transforms. I would argue that's more like a storage mode. But I mean like a proper, Zeta Gundam, Methus, Ashimar. One of those ones. We need one of those ones. I would also accept the prototype, the Shoku from Victory. Sorry, I have to talk about Victory.
PMC got Victory in here some fucking how.
PMC is so victory pilled. The Methus would be great. Methus? Methus. Yeah, I agree on the Methus.
Methus would be great.
All right.
This is not a particular mobile suit, so I apologize for dancing around the question, but I think it would be quite fun to see this style applied to some of the suits and mobile armors from Victory Gundam. Of course, it's very late in the UC and kind of not connected to everything else, but let's not worry too much about that. The preponderance of smooth curved, gentle curved lines in Victory designs would interact interestingly, I think, with this approach. That's not necessarily to say that I would love the results, but it would be fascinating to see.
Brian, what are you holding there, Brian?
I have a original 1995 Zolot kit. From Victory Gundam. I have not seen Victory Gundam. I broke my rule of I only want to buy Gunpla of mobile suits I've seen and like in the shows. But I saw this when Alice was streaming SRW 30, and I was like, ma'am, I've fallen in love. So I
think you would really like Victory Gundam. Like, I think I probably would too. PMC pilled on pod, but like, design's fuck. It's kind of good. Question 8. Do you think the show had more episodes would have been a better show? I had to ask this. I feel like this is such a conversation topic around Gquuuuuux. Brian, what do you think?
Okay, here's my tight 5 on this. I think the show needed more episodes. I think that I really lament the constraint on time that television has like reached. And I'm kind of grateful that they did get 12 episodes, given that like some stuff is only getting 8 or 6 these days.
Yeah.
And like obviously there, 008 exists. You can tell a good Gundam in 8 episodes, but like these guys couldn't do it in 12. So I'm not really sure that more would have automatically equaled better. My theory is that if they had gotten more room, they probably would have continued to talk about the stuff that I was loathing that they were talking about. And so I would say that like in my ideal vision, this show would be greatly improved by more episodes and a more consistent like priority and respect for the things that it established at the onset.
Yeah. My thought on this is should have been 50 episodes. I feel like this needed to hit that Tomino 50 episode length to explore everything. And they never explore everything that you want them to, but we at least would have gotten more time with these characters and situations and time to breathe. Like I yearn for them on the Sodan. I yearn for Nyan and Shalia just on a ship going and doing Xeon stuff. Like, it doesn't have to be deep. I just kind of wanted to spend more time with everybody.
I remember you and I were both really rooting for Kamoli, and she never fucking did anything.
She never did anything. She existed so she could have one line at the ending.
She was kind of the chorus, right?
Yep. Yeah. So my personal thought is, like, They probably would have hung themselves with the rope, but give them the rope kind of thing. Like,
Sure.
I will never be mad at more anime unless it's just more One Piece, which should be canceled, put it off the air, kill it in its prime. But what did our friends think about the length?
Let's find out.
Hot take here? No, not really. I think they just told the story they wanted to tell. They told the story they were interested in telling. It wasn't really the story they were promising in the first half. Like, sure, I wouldn't mind getting more Clan Bad episodes to get a better idea of why Machu is so fixated on Shuji. It just always felt a little silly in a way where, I get it. It's new types, it's drugs, but it still didn't come across on screen to me. I just have a feeling that if we had, 2 or 3 or 6 more episodes, we'd be just getting that much more of the alt-UC nostalgia tour with the kids, vaguely careening around the edges.
Completely agree.
Yeah, but that's what I want.
Yeah.
Question 8. The conventional wisdom during Gquuuuux's broadcast was that it would have been better with more episodes. I think everyone agreed, fans and dissenters alike, that it bit off more than it could chew. But I don't know. I shared that opinion during the immediacy of it all, but now with some hindsight, I'm skeptical that another core or half-core of episodes could do much given the context of its production. Suramaki's gonna Suramaki. If the team at Kara, under his direction, were given another 6 episodes to play with, I think they'd keep trying to one-up themselves at the expense of the narrative. This works in something like Gunbuster, Suramaki's self-proclaimed artistic lodestar, which remains laser-focused on Noriko and Amino, the show's central duo. But Gquuuuuux ditches that singularity of vision once the focus shifts to Char. Therefore, operating in this hypothetical space, I think that Gquuuuuux would be better served with a reduction of episodes. I'd scope the entire plot with inside 6 and keep the focus on Machu, Neon, and Shalia. Shuji optional. I never expand the cast past the Pomeranians and Sodone crew. I think Suramaki and Endo's talents are best suited to a coming-of-age story, as Machu and Neon get implicated in an increasingly escalating diplomatic conflict, instigated by the Sodone's extra-legal maneuverings. They find something about themselves, and they'd find each other. Yeah, I'd make the Yuri textual. In addition, I'd keep the Shalia stuff, but wouldn't physicalize his existential dilemma. I wouldn't give him an actual MacGuffin, Char, to reunite with. It's more poignant to have him keep searching, like we all are, for the unknowable. His story would run parallel to, and then intersect with, Machu and Neon's. That's how I do it. Yeah, I know. Easier said than done.
I don't know. That seems pretty clear-cut.
Motherfucker had like a crystal clear idea, thesis from start to finish, and was like, "No, that's probably bullshit."
But no, like this is like we evoked 0080 War in the Pocket. Yeah, a War in the Pocket sized story focused this tight would have been like, and yeah, Shalia just not actually meeting Char again would have gone so far in this. Also, make it Yuri. Should have been just Yuri. Make it out front. Put it in front. Always
so
Yuri.
Fucking
always.
Infuriating.
They should
Anyway,
have kissed at the end.
they should have kissed at the beginning.
I think the more episodes would have helped the things that I like about the show. So I liked Nyan, I liked the Pomeranians, and they largely got thrown away in the back half of the show. And having more episodes, I would have, in my mind, presented some sort of opportunity to incorporate them or just like, I don't know, check in on them. But it ultimately does not fix the show's biggest problems. It doesn't fix Shuji, doesn't fix Machu, doesn't fix the Gquuuuuux. I mean, your first step to fixing the problem with the Gquuuuuux is tell me why the Gquuuuuux is special and how it isn't about the Endymion unit with Amuro Ray and Toru Furuya. Like, do something, anything. So more episodes doesn't change that and doesn't fix that.
Not wrong.
Thaliarchus in with a tight 5 minutes on this one.
I find myself in an odd position on this question. In general, I am someone who laments the loss of the multi-core original TV anime for audiences other than just small children. Not because all examples of that were good, but because a medium is always diminished when the range of formats available narrows. And yet, I am not convinced that Gquuuuuux would necessarily be better if it was longer. when asked how something could be different, humans tend to imagine how it could be better. So we should perhaps keep a skeptical eye on our responses to a question like this. I wonder whether some of the problems with Gquuuuuux actually have their roots in technological change in the anime industry, in nostalgia, in generational position, and in the late night anime audience. None of those are things that having more time would change. I hesitate about attitude in criticism, which I'm not accusing this question of having. It's an attitude I find in myself as much as in anyone else, but this sense that there is an ideal form of a show that is constantly being let down by commercial realities or by the staff, as though a show cannot fail, it can only be failed. One of the few sensible things that they say in tech, and a saying I've adopted for my own professional life, writing books and articles and so forth, if shipping is a feature, getting something out the door is in itself a major achievement. It is actually extraordinary that any anime that ever airs exists. When you think about the level of coordination necessary to create even kind of chaotic rush to the finish, partially complete TV anime, which Gquuuuuux isn't. And the social constraints and the attitude of the staff and the particular audience, they may be problems for the show, but they are also conditions which allow the show to exist. So if you asked me to change the length of Gquuuuuux, I would shorten it. This is a longer project than the director has previously helmed, and I don't think all of Tsurumaki's works are brilliant, but some of the stronger ones are short and constrained, and I wouldn't be shocked if Gquuuuuux in some form might not actually work better if it had less time. I appreciate that might be a minority view. That may be too director-focused to comment, but I think quite a lot of the interviews have suggested this really is Tsurumaki's baby, despite obviously the major role of everyone else on the staff in pulling it together.
I think it's interesting when a director is better in short formats, but like now that I've had it framed this way, like yeah, he's done good short stuff.
And Steven's point about doing the coming of age stuff, like there was a dichotomy debate going on in the GRFM Discord. It wasn't a debate. It was just like people were gravitating towards two sides on something in the early run of the show, I remember, which is this more like Fooly Cooly or is it more like Die Buster? And
Ooh.
like obviously it wasn't like the vibes were off because like it was just like this is what people fell on one side or another on this one. I feel like, and this might just be recency bias, I only ever saw Die Buster like one time forever ago, and I've seen Fooly Cooly like 4 trillion times. I watch it like every 2 years basically.
Yeah.
And like the way that this show is Fooly Cooly pilled in a way that I really enjoyed, and then the second it surpasses the Fooly Cooly episode limit, it falls apart completely for me. It's like, oh, okay, that makes perfect sense. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Question 9. Did you like Mobile Suit Gundam Gquuuuuux? Additionally, do you think it's a good Gundam?
No, I don't like it. Broadly, I think a lot of stuff sucks. And like, we've hashed this out a million times on this episode and throughout the show so far, but like, it is what it is. I guess it's good Gundam. I mean, I haven't really seen any Gundam to any degree that I think is bad, because if it's bad, I turn it off,
Ooh, that's real.
So
I mean, more I talk about it during this episode, and like I keep thinking it, I do love Gquuuuuux. I think I just love it. I think it's just so fun. It's a little thing that I'm just very fond of. For maybe not the most altruistic reasons, like I'm just like a super
nor are you
fan
beholden to have altruistic reasons for liking things.
True. But I added the additionally part specifically for me, which is, do I think this is a good Gundam? Yeah, I do. And that's me saying this in a like, there is such a litany of Gundams out there, and very few of them are ones that I'll ever go back to in any real meaningful way, or even think about fondly. Like, I evoke like very specific ones when I talk about it. Like, I'm not going to
Mobile Suit
talk to
Igloo,
you
we
about
know.
Moon Gundam. Oh, gosh. Fucking Igloo. Can't think about Igloo right now. But yeah, I just think as far as Gundams go, I think it's a good one. I really do. What do our friends think, though?
Right, tricky.
I liked it well enough. I don't think it's something I'd revisit soon, particularly compared to some of the other Gundams out there. But I did have a great time watching it, and it looks really fantastic. Is it a good Gundam? It's certainly not the worst Gundam I've seen. Age is right there. But I don't think it's particularly innovative in the end, or necessarily even living up to the promise that it had. I expected more from it after a very, very strong start, and, maybe that was on me for bringing expectations into the mix.
I'm really curious about Age, I gotta say.
And I was going to evoke it first, and I was like, I got to make it more relatable. I'll evoke Moon Gundam.
The vibe of Age, I have not seen a single second of Age footage, but the vibe and the character design of Age is really alluring to me. So I'm very curious about what makes it so bad. I kind of want to watch it. Anyway.
Question 9. Yeah, I do. To reiterate on and build on my opening answer, Gquuuuuux has stuck with me. Here are 3 reasons why. Reason 1. Shalia motherfucking Bull. I'm a 37-year-old mecha fan. It's not an understatement to say that the genre hasn't always aged with me, which is by no means a criticism. Ostensibly, these are cartoons to sell toys to kids. But it's so refreshing to have an adult character who I can relate to. Shalia's search for the unknowable in the vastness of space, the many shots of him looking into the void from the bridge of the Sodon, moved me. He's also hot. He's got that reality distortion feel about him, and I couldn't help but be pulled into his orbit every time he was on screen. Reason 2. It allows for abstraction. Gquuuuuux has the confidence to allow questions to remain unanswered. While I understand some viewers weren't as taken by these aspects of the show, there's enough liminal space baked into this world and story that is fertile ground for rumination. Kira, more on that later. The Cthulian RX-782, Shuji. There's a cosmic quality to Gquuuuuux, the tears of time, if you will, that is endlessly interpretable, at least for me. Reason 3. The tangibility of the world. Granted, the team at Car already has 4+ decades of Universal Century material to iterate on, but the world of this AU 0085 feels refreshingly lived in. Side 6 and the subsequent environments feel real. There's such a weight to the mechanical details, and there's such thought behind the shot composition, like the sublimely beautiful yet eerily empty space colony Izuma. You might be asking yourself, Stephen, are aesthetics enough to make a show good? What about character, theme, plot? But sometimes it is. I recently rewatched Shin Godzilla in theaters for the 4K release, another Anno and Co joint, and largely feel the same way about it for similar reasons. I think that film's thematic concerns are often undercut by what's on screen, and I think the film believes it's delivering a much deeper message than it actually is. But the presentation is immaculate, and in some cases, that's enough for me. The same is true with Gquuuuuux.
I love that.
I totally, thank you very much, Stephen. I would just say, it is one point I will say, I want to push back a little bit, is that I don't mind a question unanswered. I do mind an obvious question unasked. And that is all I'll say on that.
I like that, yeah.
Number 9. Did you like Mobile Suit Gundam Gquuuuuux? Additionally, do you think it is good Gundam? I didn't like Gquuuuuux in the end. I think it had some compelling original characters, but it never really got out from the shadow of Universal Century elements. And even in the finale, Cassilia's death, story for his presence, Gquuuuuux, even though Gquuuuuux has this stated pretense of being like, yes, we are Gundam fans. You need to let go. You need to break the cycle. But nothing about it breaks the cycle. It is, that the references overshadow the original elements, that some of them are good, but it doesn't balance out. And so something that we've, rating it about being good Gundam, I think a good Gundam you can watch without having to know the rest of Gundam. You can watch War in the Pocket. You can watch a good AU, and you're going to have a good time with that. Again, not saying there's a correct order of these things, but I think, evaluating the effectiveness of a Gundam story is, can it stand alone? And I don't really feel like this one stands alone. And maybe that's by design, because so much of it is just about Gundam, literally and metatextually. But yeah, no, I didn't enjoy this. I don't really think it's a good Gundam. I would not, if someone right now is like, I want to watch a Gundam show, I would tell them go watch like IBO or Gquuuuuux, if I know they like older anime, sure, I could point them to Universal Century stuff, but right now it's IBO or Gquuuuuux.
That's interesting.
PMC brought a raw energy that I agree with to this in a way that I don't agree with his overall thoughts, but I agree with this in as an
You agree
answer.
with his vibe?
The vibe's correct.
I liked aspects of Gquuuuuux very much. The overall package, hugely. This is not bad television. And when I say not necessarily a good Gundam title, in my view, I need to be clear that there are plenty of Gundam titles where I would say, this is not necessarily at the upper end of what Gundam can do. It's solid rather than good, although slightly unusual position of having stellar elements and really weak elements. So it winds up being solid by the two things being in tension rather than because it's full of competent work, but merely competent work.
I do like using the word solid for it just because, I think why it's a good Gundam to talk about with other, Gundam fans, I'm using quotes for that, or people who are aware of what a Gundam is that, even the worst parts are still there's a solid foundation to this that you can't ignore. And it's mostly the amount of weight of people behind it. Like Thaliarchus said, it's fun. I like what's happening on screen. A good I'm having a fun show. It's a good thing to put on.
Yeah.
Question 10, which is a bonus question, even though I said that there was going to be 10 questions. What Kira mean to you?
Okay, wait. I actually have something that I was going to read about this. When I think of Kira, I think of Neon's first time in the Gquuuuuux. She says something like, "It's so effortless." And that moment has really, really stuck with me as a standout moment amongst many other moments in the show. Along with all the other things, I think Kira is both thematically and diegetically, since we've firmly passed into the metatextual realm by the end of the show. I think that Kira is the ability to sense and manipulate yourself to an astronomical degree. It's your ability to grasp your sense of place in the universe, the cultural mores and the expectations of the people around you. It is this fantasy of control and belonging that the object and production of violence in the show tricks the protagonist into thinking is mappable directly to a well-lived life. And that is, I think, what produces this addictive relationship that the protagonists have with it. Whether or not that fantasy can be lived up to is one of the questions I do think the show actually manages to ask in a fun way. And I don't think that the show has an answer. I don't think we have an answer, and I think that's fun. So that's what I think about Kira.
Let's listen to our guest, then I'll give my answer.
Okay.
So I've had some time to sit and think on this, and I really don't like the drugs read. I think it's easy. It's certainly textual, but what I see when I see how everyone reacts to their first experience of the Kira, and, more tellingly, with it being taken away, is that it reads to me as freedom. It's Manchu's desire to float freely in the ocean. Neon to be free of the prejudice that comes with being a refugee with nothing. Do can't even function as her window into freedom crumbles and she realizes she's quite literally in bondage. Every time a connection is forged between characters in the Kira, it's freedom that defines it. Freedom from preconception. Freedom from the outside world. Freedom from the barriers that weigh down and separate old types.
Like gravity.
Real.
That was beautiful,
Yes, sir.
Tricky.
Yeah.
Question 10. The Kira stuff was some of the most potent imagery Gquuuuuux was peddling in, so pardon the digression, but I have a few things to say. Kira, as it exists textually in the show, is a metaphysical catch-all that can stand in for so many things. Love, sex, puberty. But it's more than the sum of these parts. Kira resonates most powerfully as a symbol for the intoxicating firsts that a young person experiences. First crush, first kiss, first high, etc. Not to get too personal, but as I enter my late 30s, I've been grappling with the passage of time. I'm not shy to admit it. I've been, and am, coping with a midlife crisis, partly because those firsts don't organically exist anymore. This came into sharp focus last month when I went to My Chemical Romance's Long Live the Black Parade concert with my wife. Now, full context, before this I wasn't a killjoy. I was aware of the band. As a mall rat in the early aughts, how could I not be? But I never got into their music. But my lack of experience didn't diminish the experience. In fact, it probably enhanced it. Understand that I'm not mincing words when I say that it was like a religious experience. I felt like Proust's narrator at the end of Time Regained, listening to that familiar sonata, involuntarily flooded with memories of the past. In the weeks since then, I've been listening to My Chem nonstop, going through their discography and working through the band's copious lore. But while doing this, I've been in an existential funk. I keep coming back to a central dilemma. I wish I got into MCR in high school. It would have been my personality. I know this. I feel this in my bones. I was imagining different trajectories my life could have taken if I had the courage to express myself as honestly as so many of my fellow concert-goers, many of whom clearly had scribbled Gerard's name in heart-shaped scribbles in high school composition books. I was feeling nostalgic for invented memories. That's not to say I bemoan my life now. I love it, but I do miss those firsts. I think the joy of adulthood is predicated on the magic of the ordinary, the reassurance of familiar routines. Conversely, I think the joy of youth is the dramatic of the ordinary, the exhilarating intoxication of newness. And that's something that Gquuuuuux understands but chooses not to fully embrace or explore. And yet, I'm still thinking about it in relation to the show. I think that speaks to its strengths.
It was beautiful. I love that.
Yeah,
I'm jealous
thank you
you
very
got
much for
tickets.
being extremely vulnerable on pod. And also, fuck you for getting tickets. I want tickets to that shit.
Tickets. Also, I am going to be thinking of Killjoy Steven in my mind as a high schooler as well, because that sounds great to me. That's good. That's good.
And post the yearbook pics.
Do it.
Number 10, bonus. What does Kira Kira mean to you? It means I never liked the Kira Kira thing. Use your words. What is Kira Kira? Like, I guess I know it means like sparkles, the sparklies. Kira Kira seems to be this proper noun that was designed to capture the magical feeling that people got at various times, represented, visually as this sort of like spiritual as this like color effect, this waving color effect. This for these new type moments, and I don't know, because I think in a lot of cases people likened it to sort of coming of age moments, sort of senses of wonder. And I'm a curmudgeonly old man. Like I'm a hater for wonder. I think we could all forget the Toy Story movies. The sooner the better. So I kind of rolled my eyes every time. I never really liked the Kira Kira. So what does Kira Kira mean to me? It means it means make another draft of your word choice there, Chief. Try again. I'm probably, my apologies to Mark Simmons if Mark Simmons did that, but like, I don't like it. I just don't like it.
I just gotta say, like, first of all, I'm a hater for wonder is something I want tattooed, I think, on my body somewhere. That is an all-time quote from PMC. I'm so glad we have it on our pod. And B, can you tell that those two motherfuckers run a podcast together? Look at Steven's like absolute given to astonishment answer. Then PMC's like, fuck this.
They are a yin and a yang that I cherish deeply in my heart.
Yes, it's so good. All right.
To me, Kira Kira means choice. You can get fancy and call it agency if you want to, but like having choice and connection with others.
I like that. Very simple.
That's
very
it.
nice.
Yeah, love that. I think we all kind of had maybe with the exception of PMC, I think we all kind of had like a maybe slightly skewed angle on a very similar answer on that, maybe.
I feel like we had different answers, and that gives me to my answer, which is,
okay.
In episode 12 of Gquuuuuux, they're all in their own spaces, and they're all talking about like what being a new type is. And it's them talking about being what it means to them is what's important. And so what Kira Kira means to me is different than what it means to you. And I think that's the meaning of it, is that what Kira Kira is to somebody is always going to be different. Like for me, Kira Kira is like new experiences in life. It's greater connections with others. It's doing weird, dumb shit. For the curmudgeon that is PMC, Kira is something in the mundane, maybe, or something normalized. Like, I like Kira as I don't want to say a catch-all answer, but to kind of jump off of what Stephen said about his existential crisis, I feel like in our interconnected world and the dredges of society that are just living in the TikTok algorithm, like, there is this, like, in the UC, people kind of just, like, exist. Like, the common man is just there. There's 30 billion people between all of the different space colonies, and none of them are really living, except for the characters who find that Kira. And I think, like, in our lives, the metaphor of it as drugs or any other form of what I would call a dopamine hit is the easy answer, but really what I think it boils down to is, like, it's a willingness to live. It's a willingness to, like, not just exist in life and coast through it, but to, like, find something. For Machu, that's piloting the Gquuuuuux. For Chalia, that's chasing Char. For Steven, that's going to an MCR concert. You know, for everybody, it's a different thing. And, like, for me, Kira in this moment, this conversation I'm having with my friend Brian, that unique and it's different, and I want to share those thoughts with the world, and that's what we're doing, and it's fun. And I can't wait to hear from all of the other people that I interacted with about Gquuuuuux, about this question and many others, and share thoughts. I want to capture. I'm chasing that Kira with this postmortem. I want to talk to people about Gquuuuuux again.
If you're listening to this and you have been doing a thing that I tend to do, which is when podcasts do this, I like to, like, open a document and type, like, what my answers would be out. You can send us that shit to questions@osgpod.com, and we have a whole thing on the main show where we read those. So you can make Nico read your perverted sentences about Gquuuuuux. We will make her read them, and she will read them.
Listeners, email me what your thoughts on Kira are. I do want to know. Well, Brian, we've talked a lot about Gquuuuuux, and unfortunately, Haru has run out of tapes. He just spit out the tape on the beach, but we'll deal with that later, because unfortunately, before we both jump into the ocean, you in your bikini, me in my bikini, the Gquuuuuuux in its bikini, we have to do one important thing that we do, and we haven't done yet. We've got to rate these goddamn mechs.
Yes, we do.
What stood out for you? What's important about these? And what is your goddamn score, Brian?
Okay. Let me just see. I'm just going to take a look here. Okay. I have like a one sentence on all the mechs in the show, and I'm just going to read them. I'm just going to do what we made the podcast do, or what we made the guests do. Okay. Gquuuuuuux. I think the endgame mode is stupid. I have ultimately decided that the Evangelion aspects of the mechanical design in the show are generally a deficit, but I at least like that it's different. I think it's one of the better Gundams, just in the oeuvre of Gundams I've seen. My final rating on the Quuuuuuux itself is a 6 out of 10. The G-Fred, I remember being very high on this one when we were watching it in the show. I have cooled significantly on it. It's way cooler than the Gquuuuuuux, but I think that the Eva shit kind of sucks. 7 out of 10. Red Gundam, I don't think the colors are very good, and in retrospect, I can't unsee the lemon face. In retrospect, I cannot unsee the lemon face. 5 out of 10. The bits are cool. 01 Gundam that Tricky talked about. I don't remember this thing at all. It's fine. I like the picture of it. 5 out of 10. Gun cannon. I like the gun cannon. I think it's like weird armbands. It looks like it's going to a mech high school kind of. Cool iteration on a design I like kind of already felt pretty okay about. So 7 out of 10 on for that one. Light type gun cannon. This one's weird. It looks too much like the Gundam for some reasons. I don't like this. 3 out of 10. Gelgoog, this just isn't a Gelgoog, and like not in a clever or fun way. It's just not what the name they said is. That sucks, and it looks boring to me. 3 out of 10. Rick Doms, just fuck yeah. 8 out of 10. Gyons, I like the blue and purple ones way more than I like the white one. I do want to say I think I want to get a kit maybe because I think the white one would be really fun to paint. And yeah, 7 out of 10. Hambrabi, everyone tighten your seatbelts right the fuck now. Because I know what everyone says. I know what we all think. A major problem I have with the show is that it gives this mobile suit to a nothing fucking character and makes him go up against the Psycho Gundam for screen time. Of fucking course is going to lose. It sucks. I really love the original Hammurabi, and I really love this one. I'm a defender. I don't care. I stand with my canceled wife. 8 out of 10. Zaku's, I love Zaku's. Zaku's by default get a substantial rating from me, but I think these are probably the least successful ones I've seen on a very high threshold. So 7 out of 10. RX-78, all of the ways that it shows up here, nah, dog. This is incongruous in the rest of the show's design philosophy. It's a 2 out of 10 for me. Especially when it gets big. I don't like that. Big Zam, I'm not sure we wanted to see this thing do the level of animation that we gave it in the show. Like, I'm just not sure human eyes were meant to see that. But goddamn, what a guy. I don't even know. 7 out of 10. Kikuroga. Once again, I like this thing a lot more than it seems like most people do, and that's okay. It throws itself up, it vomits itself, and I think mechs that vomit themselves are fucking awesome. However, similar to the Gelgoog, it's just not a Kikuroga. Call it something else. 6 out of 10. Psycho Gundam, yeah, like I said earlier, this is just really good. Like I talked about it at length. I drooled about it on the actual episode where we talked about that episode. So 8 out of 10. Elmeth, I think this is cunty as fuck. I love the Elmeth. It is not especially a mech to me. So I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10, but I think the Elmeth is like one of the most adorable little spaceships I've ever seen. I'm going to lump all the carriers in as 1, and I'm going to give the carriers a 9 out of 10. The carriers are the best looking things in the whole show. All of the carriers fucking fuck. The Sodon fucking fucks. They rule. Every spaceship is Cuntalina McGillicuddy. 9 out of 10.
All right, my turn.
Oh, sorry. I did the math. The average rating and my rating for Gquuuuuux is a 5.
Wow. Thank you for doing math. I would never. All right, here's mine. I went off. My list is slightly in a different order, but Gquuuuuux, not my favorite Gundam. When it comes to Gundam, I'm more of a traditionalist. I never got over the back funnels on this thing or its weird tire hips. For this one, for me, 4 out of 10. And honestly, when the Edaminian version came out, dropped it to a 2 out of 10. That was the dumbest shit.
Yeah, that thing
I'm
fucking sucks. Yeah.
G-Fred, love this thing. It took me a long time to get over the fact that it is so EVA Unit 1 coded, but its face and its blades just lifted so far up. 8 out of 10. Love this guy. A Red Gundam, Char's Gundam. I don't like the faces on this. It has too many little dots on the face. It looks like a bug to me in a way that I don't like. However, I love its funnels so much, I have to give it a 7 out of 10 because it's probably my favorite funnels I've seen in a Gundam. Just because we get them up close in a cool way with the retro thrusters. So fun. White Gundam, same thing. The 01 Gundam, the trainer, this thing we're going to get to a gym, so I love it. 8 out of 10. I like this version of it. The light type gun cannon, don't like them. Hate them. Of all of the different gun cannons that are out there, these have too wide of hips. Don't like the weird chest cylinders that they have. These ones are a 4 out of 10 for me. The Gelgoog. It's not a Gelgoog, but I love it. That's a 9 out of 10. And you know why? It looks like it's fucking Splinter Cell. That's a Splinter Cell.
Yeah, it does. It does do that.
And honestly, Sugai's, the one with the wire, and its color types being Earth Federation forces, that shit hits. That'll never not hit for me. The Rickdoms. I love what they did with these. I like that they are just a variation in a cool way, but don't feel like it still has the sinewyiness. And the third leg just makes these a straight 10 out of 10. Like, these Rickdoms own. The Gyan, talked about it before. I just like it. I just like this design a lot. I like its slicked back hair. This looks like a guy whose like dad owns a dealership, the white one especially, and I just really enjoy that. This one's gonna be another 9 out of 10. The Hammurabi, fuck it. I hate that piece of shit. It's two stupid little eyes, it's dumb little fucking design, it's stupid wings, it's stupid little bits. Dumbest design in this show. 0 out of 10. I hate the Hammurabi so fucking much. All of the Zaku's. I actually love the Zaku. The Zaku is a good through line for any Gundam to kind of temp check it. And like, oddly enough, it evokes a Star Wars Empire kind of vibe for me. Couldn't really explain it more than that. But the fact it has 50 variants and they all fuck. Also, 2 waste tubes. What if we had, instead of 1 waste tube, we had 2 waste tubes? I like it. Old Gundam, fuck it.
Wait, what was your rating?
Oh, for the Zaku, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Only reason it loses some points, we don't get enough weapon variation, which is the best part of the Zaku. RX-78, ew. Bam! We haven't talked about it enough. Bam Army is real. The mini Zams are real. And out of 10, Doza's dream is here. They gave it such little cunty swoops in this. Like,
They did.
When I see it, I imagine the Queebly and how much it would fuck. The Kikaroga, barely higher than the Hammurabi for me. Like, it is... What is this thing? It is... The only reason I'm giving it any points, it's interesting. That is an interesting fucking take. 1 out of 10. Psycho Gundam. Psycho Gundam is the promise of the premise of what I wanted this show to be, and it wasn't, which is like, what if we did some fucked up UC shit? I love I love this fight. This is the best fight in the fucking show. It has
Agreed.
bones. 10 out of 10. Rose of Sharon, the Elmath. I loved it in the original. I love it now. It's cute. It's so good. That's an 8 out of 10. Ships, I'll do like you, kind of throw them all together. I love what they do with the Pegasus in this, the Sodan. But I also love just like, not said enough, the slight variations on like the Magellan and stuff. I love. We also get variants for once, which is actually fucking cool. Those are going to be like a solid 6 out of 10 for me. I didn't do math for this because I just had an overall score in mind when we came into this. But for me, Mobile Suit Gundam Gquuuuuux is an 8 out of 10.
Okay.
It's not breaking my bank. I love it, but it does so many things wrong with its mechs that I can't give it higher than that. Any closing thoughts? Anything you didn't get out about these mechs that we've talked hundreds of hours about this show. We've finally broken the Price of Smiles record length. Any final thoughts on these duders?
Now that you brought up Price of Smiles, I think my final thought is going to be, if it helps, I didn't particularly enjoy this show, but it still is much better than Price of Smiles by like a lot.
So real. And that's this episode of On the Shoulders of Giants, where we did our postmortem of Mobile Suit Gundam Gquuuuuux. It's not over yet, because Scribe of the show Ghost reached out to me and said, hey, should I watch Gquuuuuux? And I said, have you seen any Gundam? And they said no. 0 Gundam experience from Ghost. And they said, I was thinking of watching the final episode. You want to watch it with me? And I said, that sounds like a great idea. And they said,
there's a terror in producing new things because those new things might not immediately have the level of cultural relevancy that old things have, because people that like those old things have now reached a point in their lives where hopefully they have disposable income. Anyway, that's where there was a giant white Gundam at the end of this.
Beautiful.
well, that's it. We did it here on the beach. Any parting thoughts?
Check the show out. I'm interested like I said, I want to hear people's answers to these questions. I genuinely do.
I really do. I want to talk to more people about Gquuuuuux, and I think that's what we can take away from it. So
I think we deserve that.
we do. Also, you're totally the Nyan of our relationship, and I'm the Machu, and Nico, much like Suji, doesn't exist in this narrative.
That was no notes. That was perfect.
Thanks for listening, pilots. Remember, you can reach out for advice and to give your answers to those same 10 questions, which will be on the website at our email, questions@osgpod.com. And non-pilots can send general questions or feedback to that same address. You can also catch up with us on social media. Links are in the description for updates and more. Also, all of our guests, their information will be in the description. You'll also find a link to our Discord where you can discuss Gquuuuuux with us. Please, we're begging you. That's what this is. Shout outs to all of our guests. Tricky, who you can find on the OSG Discord. Thaliarchus, who can be found on Blue Sky, and itch.io, some amazing writing. PMCTrilogy, who can be found on Blue Sky and on Twitch TV, streaming at 7:30 p.m. I know that's when it starts. And StephenHero, also over on there. And at both of those can be found at the GRFM Patreon and Discord. Now that we've solved that Zek Nova issue, and corrected the timelines, we're going to sit back on this beach and relax for a while. And we'll catch you the next time. Until then, I love you.
Goodbye. I love you.